You sure you're ready for this?
I'll do my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
Welcome to the best soccer show. The best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's JD and the Rod, America's best soccer show, and we are live, and I feel like I'm very, very loud, but that's okay because I'm excited to be here on a Wednesday night. Jared Dubois with me. What up? How you doing, Jared? How's it going, man?
I'm doing okay. Just watching the last closing seconds of this Eastern Conference Championship game between Atlanta and Toronto. Toronto looks like they're going to do this. It's 90th minute right now. You, my friend, aren't coming to LA. It looks like you're going to Seattle.
It looks like I'm
Atlanta. Excuse me.
No, it looks like I'm going to Seattle. That's.
Oh, you're right. It is Seattle. I apologize.
Yes, Atlanta would need to win the game, Jared, for me to go down to Atlanta. Now, first of all, the reason for my awkward intro is partly because I'm keeping an eye on this game, partly because there's a bunch of stuff going on in my system, and partly because I'm sitting in a basement right now in my new house, which is still under construction.
Oh, you're in the Dave Cave.
I am in something. There's cinder blocks in this situation. I'm not necessarily, it's not the most comfortable environment, but I'm here and I'm ready for this program. And man, so much. Here's the thing about doing the show weekly, Jared, and who knows, maybe one day we'll get back to multiple shows in a week. I don't know. It means a lot of things happen when in between shows, and we have a ton of stuff to cover tonight in addition to what's going on right now in Atlanta.
Yeah, everything from the playoff games last week. We covered a good number of them, but two of them happened after our show went off the air. We got a new U.S. women's national team coach. We've got R.I.P. Pops.
Yeah, we got R.I.P. Pops. We're going to talk about Pops at some point on the show. And if you guys don't know who that is, we'll catch you up. We have a new national team fullback. Did you mention that? I was distracted again by the game.
We have a new, almost more of a winger than a fullback the way he plays a lot of the time. But Sergino Dest, that might be. Is that the biggest storyline in the last week? Is that the one?
Yeah, probably. I mean, for the U.S. men, it is. I mean, again, hiring a head coach is going to trump that every day of the week for the U.S. women.
Did I tell you my feelings on this?
Yeah.
How I don't like the way he did this.
You don't? Oh, okay.
No, I don't like that he LeBron this.
Well, okay. What is that? You mean like you don't like how he decided to make an announcement and teased everybody?
Here's the thing. He ain't done nothing yet. He ain't done nothing yet. You don't get to. Why do you get to LeBron this?
Okay,
LeBron had like what? He already had a ring by the time he was doing this.
All right, hold on.
Highest paid athlete in the NBA.
Hold on.
Jay Rodius.
First things first, let me put out the phone number for anybody who wants to call in. If you're watching us live on Twitch right now, 717-727-BEST. Operators are standing by for your Dest calls, the Dest around. It's a nice little pun. Anyway, there for your calls on Sergino Dest, on Vlatko Andonovski, whatever. Jared, first of all, LeBron did not have a ring before he went to Miami, and that was the decision, him going to Miami. He hadn't won one in Cleveland. He didn't have a ring,
but he was still LeBron.
He was still LeBron. I'll give you that. However, I don't think that you can put this entirely on Sergino Dest. I don't think this is his fault.
In watching it, I'm pretty sure it's Ajax's fault. I think they wanted the hits on their site.
Oh, I think that he was forced into a decision now by the Dutch FA, by Ajax. I don't think it was necessarily the United States that was pushing him to make it, although I'm sure they're glad. I'm sure Greg Berhalter's doing backflips.
Like the drama of it all. Why does he get to have a special announcement more than anyone else as an 18-year-old player? Like, we should have just found out like we do anyone else. Either you accept a call-up or you don't.
Well, okay. You want the equal treatment across the board situation, but the kid is special.
I just don't like. I feel like the U.S. is full of players right now that for some reason think they're better than they're actually playing.
But I don't think, okay, first of all, the kid has played in the Champions League for Ajax. We're not talking about a normal 18-year-old. We're talking about one of the best fullback prospects in the world, and that's pretty universal, that belief. It's not as though this guy is coming up through the youth ranks at Borussia Dortmund has never stepped on the field in a senior game.
I want him on my team. I want him in the red, white, and blue. I'm excited by him.
Well, after he hears this show, Jared, he's going to go running back to Holland, and it's going to be your your fault. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. He isn't truly chosen. He hasn't been capped yet.
Well, I just said that at one point. Yeah, I mean, he made his announcement in Dutch, by the way, via this video that Ajax. Well, I don't care what language he makes it in, but it honestly was, again, as you said, it was sort of an Ajax directed situation. He makes the announcement. He's not. He could easily bounce back and say, "Well, I want to play for the Netherlands
now." The Dutch national team actually gave him a call up tomorrow. Would he go? That's a good question.
I believe the kid. I think he's earnest. This is why I think you're being harsh on him. And by the way, we did inaugurate, by virtue of the fact that he is a Champions League caliber player, that he is playing at Ajax, one of the most famous developmental clubs in the world, the club that was in the semifinals of the Champions League last year. We have inaugurated a new drop for him here, Jared.
We have the Dest drop.
I know you stepped on it, but sure, there it is. And that was your choice. You're the one that picked that out for him.
I love that drop. When that came to me, it was like a lightning bolt.
Well, it also works
on so many levels.
On a couple different levels. Obviously, the Dutchy part, but also the left-hand side part. Because while he does play right back for Ajax, I definitely think he's going to be deployed as a left back for the United States because we just don't have it. It's a black hole over there, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the right-hand side is fully cemented, but you do have more options in Yedlin. And for me, Cannon. I think Cannon has shown much better. It looks like it's over in Atlanta right now. Toronto for sure going through now.
Unbelievable. We have a couple of upsets in the conference finals. First, LAFC goes down against Seattle, which I'm sure brought Jared some glee. And then today... Toronto getting it done. I mean, I watched that game. I think.
If you're Greg Vanney, first of all, Greg Vanney looking damn fly on the sideline tonight.
Okay. How about
you got to coordinate?
We're going to talk about Pops. That's the drop that we've created for him because.
But if you're Greg Vanney, do you even start Josie or Omar Gonzalez if they're healthy for this final?
Yes, 100%. There's not a question.
Dude, this team has looked great in form and cohesion over the course of the playoffs so far.
No, I understand.
You mess with it?
And that is the question for Greg Vanney, of course. The chemistry, the cohesion, you've played very well without those two players, but I think those are two automatic starters when they're healthy. I mean, they were definitely suffering without Josie Altidore. It took moments of brilliance from Benazet and from Nick DeLeon in order to win that game tonight. I'm not saying that they didn't have any business winning it.
Off the field. It's not like they were dominating them.
Yeah, I know, but Atlanta, I don't know what the Atlanta's deal was. Just not sharp enough. Obviously missing the penalty kick, and we can talk about whether that should have been a penalty on Michael Bradley or not. But they missed the kick; it was still given, and they didn't take it, and it came back to bite them. And I guess you give credit. I mean, last night it was a lot of let's give credit to Brian Schmetzer for getting his team back into an MLS Cup final. 3rd in 4 years, Jared. I mean, that's LA Galaxy level dynasty type of stuff when you make it to that. They just got to
finish the deal. I mean, that's the hard part, and as a Galaxy fan, it's hard for me to see anyone like stepping on our legacy, but if we can't pull ourselves out of the gutter, then someone else deserves to lift up the mantle. And lately there's the thing. There's starting to be a bit of a three-way kind of kingdom at the top of MLS in Atlanta, Seattle Sounders, and you could make the case maybe with LAFC over the last 2 years, but they've got a lot more for me to show in terms of before you actually get the. And here's the thing: you don't get to call them the best team ever in MLS. You don't get to.
No, they're not. I mean, you have to win the championship.
You can say you're the best regular season team ever in MLS.
Sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah, well, that's obvious because you got the most points.
You don't get to wear the mantle. You don't get to put the crown on if you can't win it all in the end. And this is the unfortunate thing about the way MLS works as opposed to leagues around the world. We have a season and then we have a cup.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's just different here. And the things you can say about the DC Uniteds of the late 90s, the LA Galaxy of the 2010 to 2014 range, they did both. They were good in the regular season and they could make the cup.
A different league.
Maybe they're not the best team ever. What?
It was a different league. I just want to make sure that that's clear. I mean, I'm not saying that you take something away from them, but it was a different league. It was a smaller league. The spending was significantly different. I think that over the course of the regular season,
worked both ways though. I mean, it's not fair. I mean, those other teams did more with less as well.
Okay, they didn't get to
spend money to bring hot Argentinian talent into the league.
Sexy, hot Argentinian talent.
Damn, dog.
I don't know why I went with that one. Yeah, that was probably not the right
bring
job.
the chimichurri.
Let's go to the phone lines. Let's get our first call of the evening. Zach in Wisconsin. You're on JD and the Rod. What's up? What's up, Zach? How you doing, man?
Hey guys, first off, just with what we've seen in the playoffs here over the past couple of weeks, I think it's a pretty strong endorsement of the one-game playoff system. I think MLS really is hit out of the park with that. Main reason I wanted to call though was about Sergino Dest, and I got to take a little bit of issue with what Jared's saying about kind of putting him on the spot. I mean, I really think it was Ajax kind of trying to milk the hits out of everything and trying to milk the publicity out of everything. But even if Dest was kind of off the mark a little bit, I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt just because I think it's such a tough thing to try and sort through that whole dual nationality and trying to figure out where your heart is. I mean, I don't know a lot of people really understand it, but if I were talented at soccer, I would have been in a dual national situation myself. And I understand somebody in that situation having connections and strong feelings for both sides, and trying to sort through that and taking the time to step back and really do it. And I think handle it in a fairly mature way. So I was actually really impressed with the way he handled it, and I was really impressed with the way a lot of American soccer fans kind of backed off and were positive about the whole thing, even then it looked like he was going with Holland. So, yeah. Kudos to Dest. I think kudos to American soccer fans on this one, and it's easier to say that all with him choosing to stay with us. So,
appreciate the call, Zach. All right, appreciate the call, Zach. Jared, I'll say you got to give. You got to be happy that he chose us. We're not really the best looking group right now. Like what do we have to offer the hot young 18-year-old player?
He's not choosing on looks.
That's right. I mean, we got to get the teeth fixed, and we need a new haircut.
I got an issue with my man Zach.
Man, what is going on today?
He don't know my struggle.
He doesn't know your struggle, your personal
struggle. My struggle. I know how Sergino Dest feels. You've ever had to choose between your mom and mother-in-law at Thanksgiving and whose house you're going to go to?
Okay, no, that's not the same thing. You can say.
You don't know my house.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even. What do I got here? Yeah. Okay. There you go. I think
to go to his first point though, Jason, I'm sure you've talked about it a bit. You've had some thoughts on this over the last couple of weeks, but the new playoff structure, it's fantastic. And one of the main reasons that I always felt they got a key thing wrong with their old structure. I think the old structure would work, but I always felt that one of the worst ways they rolled it out, it's not the conception of a home and a home. It's the way they didn't allow the higher ranked team to truly have an advantage. In the old system, I always felt that if you truly wanted to reward the higher seed team, you give them the choice if they want the first game or the second game.
Okay.
Because for different, you don't know what a coach feels is their advantage. You don't know what a team feels is their advantage. To assume that they always want to play the second game at home, I think is a bit of a misnomer. Because what if you're coming into the end of the season hot and you want to put your front foot forward? You got to let teams choose. If they had let higher seeded teams choose if they want a home first or a second, I think the other system could have worked. But because MLS always thought they knew best, I never felt it was a true reward.
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think the drama of single elimination is worth it for Major League Soccer, even though, and again, after the events of last night at Bank of California Stadium, lots of people saying, it's just the right way, it's just the right format. LAFC was so dominant in the regular season, it's the best team we've ever seen.
They didn't mind when they beat LA Galaxy in one game.
No, they did not. I just had a lot of people I saw a lot of people saying things like, the only real way to crown a champion is via single. Actually, they would say
the only real reason
the only real way
a champion is to win at home.
To crown a champion is through a single table format. That's the only proper way. That was what I was getting.
If you want to be champion, you need to be able to win at home.
I think that the regular season tests you in one way and the playoffs test you in a different way, and you kind of throw them together. And in America, that's what we do. We do champions like that. We determine our champions through these two different tests. Now, people have pointed out, look, teams sneak into the playoffs and win championships sometimes, and it hasn't happened in MLS in a little while, but it's happened before. Dom Kinnear was the king of it, finishing 5th in the conference and then going on and winning a championship. And I'm not saying that that's a great look, but there was definitely a skill to it. There was definitely an approach that worked for him, and you never doubted the Dom magic because of it.
You know, and to go back to LAFC, I mean, I just don't think they're a big game team. I don't think they're a big game team. I think they're a fantastic team. I think they are consistent as hell. But it took them, 6th meeting to beat their crosstown rivals. They did it. Congratulations. They were a better team on the night. They went out first round against RSL last year. They go out at home against Seattle this year, despite having a great home field advantage. I don't think they're a big game team. I don't think they're mentally strong yet. By next year, this might do it. And that's what Schmetzer was saying yesterday when he talked about, I'm glad I'm not Bob right now. Because he clarified that. What he means is that, like, he knows what it feels like to be in Bob Bradley's situation. He was there last year and had to watch their team celebrate on his field. Mm-hmm. And that makes your team, it is a choice. It can break your team or it can make them mentally tough for the next season. And they can use it as fuel. We'll see what Bob Bradley's team does with it. But right now, they have a year that they have to think about this game, and until then, they look like choke artists.
I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush in Los Angeles at Bank of California Stadium, but guys, stop with the beer. Like, stop throwing stuff. Like, what is that? Where did that come? And I know it's happened more than once out there. Why are people throwing beer?
You know, I would love to answer some of those questions, but there's no way I answer this without looking like a Galaxy homer and like.
Well, you are a Galaxy homer. That's clear. I am,
but I'm more than willing to admit that LAFC is the better team. I'm more than willing to admit that I think they have cooler clothes and better logos. I'm more willing to admit that their stadium is better than the Home Depot Center, which I will always call it. I'm not changing. And lastly, what I will also admit is that I don't identify with them.
Yeah.
I don't identify with them.
I understand.
Why there's
That's
two
fine.
teams. You get to pick one.
You still.
Now screw that guy.
Well, is he out? Is he leaving? Is that happening?
I hope so.
Oh, really? Are you ready for that?
Well, you know that I wasn't a big fan of his signing back in the day. Now, granted, there's no way you can't say that Zlatan to MLS is a success on a number of different levels.
Uh-huh.
A number of different levels.
Uh-huh.
But, and I tweeted this last night after the LAFC game.
Yeah.
In LA, you are scored by how many stars are on your shirt, not how many are in your owner's box.
Okay.
And it works the same way with the field. You just score by the shirt, not by how many are on the field. At the end of the day, he didn't deliver.
But he scored 30 goals. LA. How much do you really put on him, though? Here's, and I'm going to throw this out. I have to formulate it in my head
I
here.
Don't just put on him. I put it on the franchise.
No, I know. Hold on a second. Zlatan Ibrahimovic comes back for another year next year because he's a 30-goal scorer in MLS. It's hard to let go of that guy. I'm not sure how much he costs, and that's part of it too. But would you rather have Zlatan back with a potential of scoring 30 goals, or suffer a year maybe missing the playoffs, but be more balanced under Dennis Tecloso, who has an opportunity to spread the wealth a little bit more because it'll be better for your long term, Jared? I mean, I think I know your answer, but I don't think it's an easy question to answer.
I also think that's an unfortunate two extremes that you're taking it to, but I think that you can not have Zlatan and still be competitive next season. But
no, you can. I'm just saying that it's really hard to say to a 30-year-old goal scorer, a 38-year-old player.
Here's why. You spend a crap load of money to bring good players into this team.
Yeah.
Good players.
Yeah.
But I'm not putting this all on Zlatan. I'm not. But defense starts from the front. And you have a traffic cone playing forward.
No, but you got to admit that they spent...
How did I spend that much money?
A ton of money on crap defenders. Like, what is that?
I don't know that they're crap, but they're playing... the team is playing. But here's the problem. And I'm going to go back to this. Zlatan doesn't play defense from the front. Watch that LAFC game again. I dare anyone out there to go watch that LAFC game again and watch where Jonathan Dos Santos spends his time on the field. He is pressuring the back line and goalkeeper of LAFC the entire game.
Yeah.
He's playing in front of Zlatan because this is what Guillermo Barros Schelotto had to do to get some kind of a pressure on the back line from the front because Zlatan won't do it. So you have your best defensive midfielder all the way up the field. And that's why you have to play Sebastian Lletget and Perry Kitchen the final two games of the season.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Like, again, but this is what I'm saying, though.
30 goals are nice and all, but teams made the playoffs without a 30-goal score.
I think also there's got to be this equation happening with AEG and the ownership group. And again, I don't know how much Dennis Klosa gets to say, whether they keep Zlatan or not, but you have to wonder if somebody is saying, hey, if we let him walk, what do we have? And what do we have to compete with LAFC in the market, like in town? Like, who's going to be paying attention to us? You said it's more about the stars you have on your shirt than it is the stars you have on the field, but it's still LA, and you still need something. Like, you still
It depends what your priorities are. Are your priorities having a full house or a trophy? Because right now, both teams don't have a trophy, and one team has a full house. Okay, they're beating us on that. But for me, I don't care. I know I have different priorities than everyone else probably in this town because I'm 23 years with this team. I remember when there was no one in the Rose Bowl. It didn't concern me then. It doesn't really concern me now because I don't work for the Galaxy. I'm not getting a paycheck from them. I don't have stock options. I don't have any vested interest in their financial success other than whether or not they're solvent.
I want to let Alfred Molina get his words in here.
Someone seems to think you have talent. But unfortunately, this is Los Angeles. I need more than talent. I need stars.
By the way, I was just telling my wife this, and I hadn't seen the trailer yet. Are we gonna? I mean, we got to mention that Gabriel Luna is the new Terminator. Is there a way for us to get him on the show? Because
what? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
in that new movie is coming out right now.
Am I wrong about that? Like, isn't he the new Terminator in the new movie? Isn't it Gabriel Luna?
I don't know much about it. I've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger on talk shows. That's all I know.
Okay, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger looking super old, by the way. I mean,
and by the way, what I did hear about it, and how did they do this? Jeff Cameron comes back. They decided to scrap all the plot lines and canon between T2 and this movie just so they can pick up where T2 left off.
Well, I mean, Cameron he's a weird dude. He's a weird guy. But it is Gabriel Luna, by the way, plays the new Terminator. Like the badass, like well beyond T2000 Terminator. Like he's got Tony Bravo. Tony Bravo is as the Terminator. Did you ever think you would see the day?
Playing hot dogs and donut holes with the Terminator, man. That's awesome.
By the way, you always get it wrong. Do you know that?
I know, but it sounds better with donut holes.
Playing hot dogs and donuts with two fangirls in the locker room?
It doesn't, because a donut hole is a ball. A donut has a hole. Yeah, but a donut hole is a specific kind of food. It's a ball. It's the part.
You trying to teach me anatomy?
No. Why are you?
Danger zone!
Okay. Do you not want to know how the birds and the bees work? Should we sit down?
Good idea. I got 2 kids. I don't know if they're mine, but I got 2 kids. You
haven't had that talk. You haven't gotten there yet, though, right?
Oh, I did it with my oldest.
Oh, Logan he's what, 9?
9.
9. And you've had to have the basic talk, right? I just
totally whipped it out on a car ride going to a basketball game, which is he and I were in there. It's just like, we're doing this.
Do you think that's a cheat, by the way? Like, I've definitely done the car ride birds and the bees stuff, and I feel like
one of the only times it's just he and I.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's the same with my kid
running around like yelling.
Like, it's me and my kid in the car a lot of time. I have an hour drive with him like once a week, but I also feel like it's kind of a cheat because
you should have a fun drive sometime and ask him, what do you know?
There's been some discussions. It's been a couple years already, but I don't know if I told you about the time that we're driving in the car and he goes, "Daddy, what's porn?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're doing
God's
that,
gift, son. God's gift."
Is that what's going on with that? What do you know already? And that's the thing. The first thing you want to ask, what do you know? What do you know here? Because you don't want to go down a road that he's not ready for.
Did that. I was like, listen, man, I don't know what you're hearing, but I want you to hear from me. Here's the straight truth. And then you can decide, take what you want from it. And he was awkward, but one day, that boy will thank me.
Yeah, no,
Damn, dog, that's inappropriate.
My dad never was proactive with that stuff. Like, never.
My parents bought me in kindergarten, they bought me a comic book called Where Do I Come From? That's why I messed up.
Well, that's something, though. Like, that's a move. I didn't even get that. Like, my parents, I don't recall any frank discussion about it at all. I don't think my dad was ever like, "Son, sit down and let me tell you about how this works. First, the thing goes inside the thing and then babies happen." Like, I never even got that. They never even.
There's someone listening right now. You just did it. You just had the discussion for a parent whose child might be in the car.
Well, that's not the way to do it. You got to use the actual words.
You bring out a hot dog and a donut and you tell them how it really happens.
All right. Look, LAFC can't get past the Sounders, and again, I mentioned it,
and we give no credit to the Sounders.
No, I look, and I spent today talking about Brian Schmetzer because, the guy has done an incredible job and is so nondescript, and I don't think he cares about that, right? And he's not the guy to take credit at all. He's the guy who feels bad for Bob Bradley before he even says something about how great he feels or whatever. He's an accountant. He's your sixth grade.
Flanders.
He's Ned Flanders. He's all of those things, and yet this is his track record as an MLS head coach. In 2016, he took over for Siggy and led that team to an MLS Cup title. In 2017, he went back to the title game and lost to Toronto FC in a very intense, very good game. Toronto was better, but Seattle was in that game. And 2018, they make the conference semis and lose to Portland on penalty kicks. And now 2019, Western Conference champions going back to an MLS Cup. 3 MLS Cup finals in 4 years. And they have to win another one for him to kind of ascend to the Bruce Arena level of coaching in MLS, but he's not far away, Jared, if you think about it.
Let's cool our jets here a little bit.
Oh, okay. You're going to be protective of Bruce's legacy? Is that what
Bruce
this is?
Arena's done it with 2 different teams. He was a national team coach.
True.
So he was out of the picture for like 8 years.
True.
Okay.
True.
And he's right now he's turning around a 3rd team in New England.
Do you think he's going to get that team to MLS Cup level in New England?
I don't know that the ownership of that team can let that team get to that level, but I'm thinking he's doing a hell of a job with the pieces that he's been given.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think he's going to hit a ceiling, but I mean, I don't know. Why would I doubt Bruce Arena?
And I think getting rid of Mike Burns was the first step.
Well, yeah, they needed to. They had some long-standing
Mike
established
Burns, the guy
stuff.
that wouldn't pay $150,000 for Jeff Laurentowicz a few years ago. Look how that turned in the past.
You know what I'm saying, Jeff Laurentowicz. You were talking on Twitter about Laurentowicz.
Oh, I love guys like that, man. I love the Jeff Laurentowicz of the MLS. See, I'm old school, so there's these guys that I feel like some of these new fans of MLS don't know about. I kind of feel like it's my job as the old man out on his lawn to like let people know, like, have you heard about Brian Carroll?
What do you know about Joey Franchino? Sit down, son.
He had calves like tree stumps.
Let me tell you about Brian Carroll manning the midfield.
There was once a man named Rusty Pierce, had elbows like razor blades.
Who was there? Oh, let me tell you a story, son, about a left back named Todd Donovan. Like,
no, not Donovan, Donovan.
That's good. I like that. We should make that bonus content.
MLS, man. We're losing 2 of the greats this year, man. I don't know if we talked about Nick Raimondo last week.
I don't think we did.
Michael Parkhurst. We just watched Michael Parkhurst's last game.
Yeah, we did.
And you know me, Michael Parkhurst is, as a guy myself who's played defense my entire life, Michael Parkhurst is my favorite American defender of all time.
Yeah, I mean, well, the things that he did were not obvious. And you know what? Actually, since you mentioned him, I always maintain, and look, maybe he's a different player if he's 4 inches taller. But if Nick Raimondo's 4 inches taller, he doesn't stay in MLS for his entire career. He's in Europe. He gets an opportunity to play in England or somewhere else, in Germany maybe. But because he was
got a bit of a shot, he went to Belgium for a number of years.
Parkhurst was in Denmark. He was in Denmark. That's something. But Parkhurst, again, if he's 3 inches taller, if he's a 6'3" center back instead of what he was,
if he's a 6'1" center back, he doesn't have to learn to be as positionally aware as.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. That you throw in variables, and now you're suddenly talking about, well, now he's a different player, and is like Nick Raimondo
doesn't shoot as good at threes if he's 7 foot, I
don't know. Well, I mean, there are players who can hit threes from at 7 feet tall.
They don't have to. They can shoot from 5 feet away.
Okay, you really know your basketball, Jared. We're not doing the best basketball show. That's not happening.
But Michael Parkhurst, like I said, for me, Eddie Post probably the best American defender of all time. For me, best American defender of all time. But Michael Parkhurst is the best positional defender of all time.
Okay.
He is so positionally aware. He's so good at finding passing lanes. He is so good at being on a player's back when they're going to turn and denying them facing forward with the ball. I don't know that you can do this, but any new Atlanta fans, if you love yourself as Michael Parkhurst, you're sad he's leaving, find a way to go watch him play in a 3-back system in New England Revolution 15 years ago.
Yeah, I wonder are we going to make more players like that? By the way, like I don't know if this is the right way to think about it.
I want to say yes, but with soccer now attracting the athletic peak of we didn't really necessarily always attract the best athlete back in the day.
The best what?
Soccer is far more viable career option now for athletic Americans.
Athlete? Did you say athlete?
I don't know what I say.
I don't know. It's the way you said it. I thought it was funny.
What did I say?
You said you're very specific with your pronunciation. I just thought that was worth pointing out.
Oh. Yeah, but I would hope that the Michael Parkhurst of the world can find their way through. Because listen, if Connor Lade can do it, Michael Parkhurst can do it. There's those guys whose heart are bigger than their height, but you have to have the right coach. You got to have the right guy that's going to believe in you. You got to be a guy that can see beyond the NFL combine, and so what's their 440? How high is their vertical? Sometimes you don't measure in that.
True. By the way, did you know that the MLS combine has been killed off? There is no more MLS combine. Not happening in 2020.
But how will I know who's going to get drafted?
Well, also, it looks like the Super Draft will not be happening as the big pomp and circumstance event at the coaches convention that it always has. Apparently, it's going to be a conference call now.
Oh man! Listen, it's what it deserves. I mean, if I was MLS, I would have probably killed that beast a long time ago. It has to be a lot of money for something that's not a marquee event. It's funny. I was actually going through because for our bonus show, which you guys for Patreon members, bonus show will be up every week. We released our first one for free on the feed. Check it out. But for the bonus show, I was researching some potential like trivia questions and stuff like that. I went down a rabbit hole of the MLS draft,
right?
And just seeing some stuff just for my own personal thing, and just looking at some of the drafts and man, where some of these guys went. But it was just a different beast, man. For the first 20 years, maybe 15 years of MLS, it was a different beast. This is just how you got talent. And it's just, I'm glad that MLS is changing with the times, but they're also changing kind of late.
Well, okay, true. I mean, look, there was an evolution that needed to happen. I think it's clearly happening. I wonder though, you're sitting here pining for Jeff Lorenowitz and Michael Parkhurst and some of these old school heads, and these are guys that all came through the college system. I mean, not a single guy you mentioned wasn't a college player. So what, and maybe they weren't of the level that you really want for MLS or for the national team. But I've seen that argument. I've taken phone calls on the radio show where people say, well, back in 2000, we were hungrier our players were hungrier because they weren't handed things when they were 17 and they weren't.
I don't mind that take, Jason. I don't mind that take.
You do sound like an old man shaking your fist at the sky when you say stuff like that, though.
Okay, but if you shake your fist at the sky and you're right, you're not shaking your fist at the sky. You're just right.
What are we doing?
Okay, but the sky. I don't know how far we can go with this metaphor. I just think that the reasons why we are where we are not something that sounds like an old man complaining about a newer generation.
Jason, why are we where we are?
Well, I mean, we do have a talent gap. I'm not saying that we don't. I also think that there is the part of the reason that we have the talent gap, we have that lost generation, is because we were trying to transition from a program that leaned heavily on players who are coming out of college and playing through the traditional American system to a country that now has players coming through academies and going professional at 18 and sort of focusing on higher levels of development. And we just didn't navigate it very well for a while there. I don't know if it's going to get better fast.
I disagree with you on this, and I know once again I'm shaking my hand at the sky, but for me, we just lost what it meant to be American.
Okay.
We lost what our identity was as American. We decided, we got to find these kids that can play in a 4-3-3. We got to find a kid that knows how to cut inside on his good foot and open up the space for a wing back to go into the. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Work hard. Start there. Work hard.
Okay. All right.
This is the old days, man. The bad days. The all or nothing days. They're back. There's no choices left, and I'm ready for war.
You want your players to go to war, and it does feel like I'll give you this. It does feel like, and this is Christian Pulisic, who's obviously an incredible talent, and he scored a hat-trick for Chelsea, and we should be happy that he's making his way
for sure
in the Premier League. And again, we inaugurated his Wonder Boy drop.
Yes, it's Wonder Boy.
That's not the one you like. I gotta fix it. And I'm glad to see Americans succeed on that level. And maybe he's a unicorn, and maybe we're not going to get another Christian Pulisic for a while. But it does seem endemic of a certain group of players, and we talked about this already, that there isn't as much fight in the spirit of playing for the U.S. men's national team as there used to be. Back when,
at the same time, I can't follow too much because they're young guys, man. They're young guys. What in their life has given them like struggle at this point? I mean, the game, I guess, but
but so this is what I'm asking. And whenever somebody brings this up, this is what I'm asking, Jared. Are you suggesting that we need to create some sort of situation where players feel like they now have more to prove than the 17 and 18-year-olds now who are getting plucked by German clubs?
Because
how do we do that?
And around the rest of the world came up through a development academy of cutthroat kids all trying to get the one spot on the senior team.
But a lot of these kids, Weston McKennie may have been the chosen one in Texas, but he went to Schalke and he worked his way into that team in a cutthroat environment.
And he's one of the only ones that's doing it right at the national team.
Okay, but you've got Christian Pulisic, you've got Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams.
Christian rolled on. Came up through the Seattle Sounders system, right?
Yeah, but not good enough.
Okay, but he's getting playtime at the national team, Jason.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But I don't think that Christian Roldan was like picked out as special and didn't have to work to get where he is. Is that what you feel?
He didn't have to work, but at the same time, they don't seem to have the fight as generations before them.
Okay,
and that's maybe it's indicative of soccer in general. No one's willing to throw an elbow anymore.
Okay, you do sound.
I want a Rafa Marquez on my team. What does that say?
Oh man, do you really though? Like I don't.
No, I don't. But I kind of do.
Okay, you do, but you kind of do, but you can't.
Damn, dog.
Okay,
inappropriate.
You've gone too far.
A different flavor of ice cream on the field somewhere. I feel like we're just vanilla everywhere.
Well, so this is what I was going to say. I mean, first of all, that's a function of not playing well and losing games. If they start winning games with a little flash, even if they're not as tough as they used to be, I think you could probably get over it. But I was going to bring us to the hiring of Tab Ramos in Houston. Obviously, he was part of those teams in the 90s that had to scrap for every bit of respect that they got. This is a great signing for Houston. There's no doubt that this is a massive signing for the Houston Dynamo. I question it from Tab's end. He must really believe that they're going to give him resources.
This is like every romantic comedy where the best friend never noticed the girl that was his friend until she moves on to another guy. Like Tab Ramos has been there. He's been there for us the entire time.
Yeah. No,
and we just never noticed. And now he's gone, and we're all like, oh, we're stuck with this?
Yeah.
And he's over there with his, like, flashy orange dynamo. Not flashy.
Oh, would you look at that? An absolute firecracker.
Okay. I think, look, so that's, but you're making a good point. Like, I don't know that Tab Ramos was ready for the national team senior level job. Do you think he was ready for that job? Do you think he should have gotten a chance at it?
As ready as Berhalter was.
Berhalter. Okay, say what you want about Berhalter now, and we have some data to go on in judging him. Berhalter,
because he coached at the MLS level, he was more ready?
He coached senior teams, which I think is a factor here.
But you could also say that Tab Ramos has experience coaching a national team, even in cup environments.
Sure.
He has a history of bringing players together from all sorts of different club teams and getting them on the same page for a national team level. Isn't that the job?
Yes, it is. He was coaching a specific age group, which I think is a factor.
Okay.
I'm not saying that
guy's coaching a club team. They both have differences.
I'm not saying that Tab Ramos wouldn't have been better than Greg Berhalter, because I don't know. Maybe he would have. It certainly doesn't look like Greg Berhalter is headed in the right direction right now, except for the Sergino Dest coup, which is a recruiting thing, not a coaching thing. But when you look at their resumes, I don't know that you can look at their resumes and say, well, Tab Ramos is a better option. Maybe you could say they're level, they're equal.
No, he's different. I mean, there's no guarantees anyone you bring in is going to be better than the guy you got. But what I will say is that this was a different option. It was a choice. There was a few different choices that could be made. He wasn't the one. Now he's not going to be the one, not for a while, because he's starting a new adventure now. So it's that longing you have when the grass was greener on the other side, and now like it's owned by someone else.
Well, I think Tab Ramos probably was hoping for his opportunity, didn't get it, went running off, and now again, I'm thinking about this from the Houston perspective, or from Tab's perspective in Houston, and I'm excited. Look, Alex in Houston, who supports the show and listens and calls me every day on the radio, I know he's ecstatic about this. I just don't. This team is the lowest spending team in MLS in terms of salary, Jared. And as much as I like Albert Elise and Mauro Manotas and a couple of their players, they have to spend a lot more money, and it doesn't look like they're going to do that. It doesn't look like they're going to play with the big boys, and they should.
I think they've made a choice. They're going to try. I think they're making a choice. I don't have all the proof yet to say so, but I think they're choosing to go. The MLS has a couple models now. You have the Galaxy LAFC Atlanta model, where you buy players, you go for it, you make a run at it, you spend money, and then you have the FC Dallas model. And I think that's just what they're going for. If you don't have the money to do that, what's your way of competing? You find a style, you commit to it, and you start developing products that don't cost you money that can play that style. It's a long game.
I would rather them do that than this middle of the road nothing that they've been doing the last couple years. But
listen, here's the one thing they've gotten right. They made a good hire. That's a starting point.
First of all, you don't know that. He hasn't coached a game yet.
Feels like a good hire. Okay, am I allowed to have a feeling?
You're just in love with Tab Ramos, which I can respect. I get it.
I also don't have a damn crystal ball, but it feels like a good thing.
It does.
I don't know where it's going to go.
It at least feels like the kind of hire that gets your fans excited. And Houston was never going to be the team that went out. And I don't know, maybe they could have been the team that got a Matias Almeida, because we didn't think the Quakes were going to do that. He is a special. Matias Almeida is a weird dude. Like lives in a van and showers in gas station bathrooms and, shares his weed with everybody and,
still looks fly on the sidelines.
Still, he does dress well. I'll give him that.
You got to coordinate.
What's really impressive is that somehow he irons that in a van.
So Houston could have, San Jose getting Matias Almeida was out of nowhere. No one expected it. Houston probably wasn't going to be the one to go out and sign the next Tata Martino, just for example. Like, they weren't going to be the one who attracted the next big name foreign manager. Although, I think Gallardo is out there as a possibility one day in Major League Soccer. There's a couple of names that are floating around. I would still...
Jose Mourinho...
Oh, you really think that would ever happen?
Oh, no. I don't know.
No, not in Houston. But
it's just fun. Oh, no. God, no. You can't wear a trench coat in Houston.
But Tab Ramos is the kind of hire that will get your fans excited if they understand who you are and maybe who you're trying to be. And the only thing I was going to ask you is, if you're going to turn this into a romantic comedy, Tab Ramos seems to be typecast if you're saying that this is, take on our development program and be the coach who brings through a young group of talent. If he wants to be Luchi Gonzalez, that's great. But I don't know that, I think that if you're Tab Ramos in your first job after everything you've done for the national team and the resume you have as a player, you might want to be in a position to do more than just bring through some academy kids and try to replicate FC Dallas.
I don't know. Isn't that the kind of your strength? He's been doing academy kids, more quote unquote. It's not academy kids, but he's doing youth development for the last 8-9 years, somewhere in that range.
No, he's been doing a good job of it.
Very similar. If you go back to Wilmer Cabrera, it's very similar to what Wilmer Cabrera tried to do. He came from the youth environment. Chivas brought him in. He's been tried a few different places, thinking that he would be the guy that brings up a style of play, and he's gone to all the places that want to do kind of what Tab Ramos, I think, he's going to do with Houston. Try to find that SC Dallas model and put it into your team. Wilmer Cabrera hasn't been able to do it. Maybe Tab Ramos can.
Well, I don't think they gave Wilmer Cabrera the tools to do it. I think this is on Matt Jordan and everybody else. And if they're really going to commit to it, okay, fine. It is a joke that the Houston Dynamo haven't been able to produce better homegrown talent. With where they are, the kids that play soccer in that part of Texas.
With the way they stole AJ De La Garza, they still couldn't make it work?
I was going to mention this. The Houston Dynamo's gain is U.S. Soccer's loss. And we've obviously taken our shots at U.S. Soccer because it's not good at the senior level for the men's national team. Jared, do you know there is only one coach in place with the U.S. youth national teams now that Tab Ramos has left the U20 job?
It's like Trump's State Department.
It's like rats jumping off a ship. Positions. Yeah, it's Raphael Wicki with the U17s is the only Raphael Wicki. Now he's gotten some good reviews for his work. They are at the U17 World Cup right now. They got smoked by Senegal 4-1 in their opener, which was a very big disappointment, and they just drew with Japan 0-0. So it hasn't started well for Raphael Wicki at the U17 World Cup.
Friends with you. I would never hear this stuff if I wasn't a friend with you. I have no idea any of that's going on.
I'm not suggesting that you care about the U17s, by the way. I think that's kind of a...
There was a time where I did.
Yeah, but I think it kind of gets into weird, icky areas if we're focusing on players.
What ends up being is that you get yourself excited about a player that has maybe a 50-50 shot of making it, and you end up getting hyped, and then it's just like a repetitive system. Like I thought Julian Valentine was going to be really good.
Who remembers Julian Valentine?
I do, and that's the problem. I used to pay attention to this stuff.
Oh, man. The next great American player, Julian Valentine.
Remember Danny Satella?
Of course I remember Danny Satella. I believe Danny Satella may have just asked to connect with me on LinkedIn, Jared. I believe that just happened. You should see my LinkedIn. You know who I got today?
What'd you get?
Actually, this would be a good little game here. You ready for a nice little game show, mini game show within the program?
I'm ready.
Okay. The person who tried to, or who wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm going to approve it because I'm not an asshole.
You're going to swipe right?
The player who sent a message to connect with me today, a former MLS striker. Like, I know that narrows it
Chad
down.
Barrett.
Okay, you can keep guessing. I'm good with that. Okay, I'll say this. He played for your team. So maybe that'll help you narrow it down.
Oh, okay. All right. We've had our fair share of strikers, so I'm assuming you said former player, right?
Former player, yes. Yes, he's retired.
Is he good looking? It's not Mike. Mike McGee was on the tip of my tongue, so it's not Mike McGee. That was an instant yes.
Although Mike McGee is making alcohol now, so hey, Mike, hook us up because we're happy to those
two things go together
to pimp your brand. Yeah. No, this former LA Galaxy striker has also played with a number of other MLS teams. 1, 2, 3 other MLS teams. Also had a stint in Europe.
Alan Gordon.
Nope, that's a good shout too, but no, that's not the name I'm thinking of here. This individual has 11 caps for the U.S. men's national team with 3 goals.
Alan Gordon.
You already said Alan Gordon.
It still fits. Let's see.
No, he doesn't. There's no way Alan Gordon has 11 caps and 3 goals for the national team. No way.
He might.
I think my guess would be Alan Gordon is more like a 5 cap, 1 goal guy.
I bet you he's got more than that.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll look that up while you
still 11 and 3.
While you still guess. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. 11. I see. I don't know time frame. I mean, we got 23 years I'm trying to span here, but
yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Hercules Gomez.
Okay, that's a good shout too. I know Herc in real life, so I'm already connected to Herc. But I don't think he needs to be hitting me up on LinkedIn.
You have to flex all over me, dude.
I'm just saying, man. And you actually give me a good chance to drop play Herc's drop. Which we don't get a big chance to do. He's out there like mixing it up though. I love Herc and what he's doing professionally at this point. Okay,
all right. Can I get a like how many years ago this player was at last active?
Sure. By the way, Alan Gordon, 2 caps, 0 goals for the U.S. men's national team. Okay.
How many? Okay, dang it! I was thinking like he's been on much more rosters than that though.
He's been called into camps, but he doesn't have the caps.
Yeah, I was thinking. I guess I was just kind of thinking instead of caps, I was thinking how many times he's been called.
There was one window in history when Jurgen Klinsmann, for whatever reason, called in Alan Gordon because he needed a center striker. He needed a center forward.
11 caps is a decent amount, man. This player should rise to my top pretty easily.
This player was last active in 2015, which is surprising to me because I thought he retired a little earlier than that.
Santino Carranza?
No, not Santino Carranza. No. The 11 caps with 3 goals? Santino Carranza doesn't have that. What are you, crazy?
I can't remember. He did some cupcakes and gold cups, I think.
Does anybody I wonder if anybody in the chat's figured this out. We'll have to check in on that.
Let's see. Well, someone said Zlatan. That's not right.
No, that's not American. He's not an American. This guy's an American for sure. Okay, how about this hit? This might give it away. He is named after a famous player. This individual. There it is. Edson Buttle. Yeah, it took you a long time to get. I didn't give you really specific hints though. Like I kept it kind of general.
Yeah, I would have thought Edson Buttle had better stats than that too.
For the national team, really?
Yeah, I mean, I thought for some reason I thought we would have be more than the 20 cap 5 goal range.
How many goals do you think? And this is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. And this is not just MLS. This is his entire career going back to his original team, the Long Island Rough Riders.
Oh,
no, I'm talking about before that. This is the number of goals that included. How many goals do you think Edson Buttle scored in his career as a professional player?
He went to Austria for a while too, or Germany.
He was at Ingolstadt in Germany for a couple years. Yeah.
Let's see. Total goals for Edson Buttle.
Yeah.
He had a couple good years with Galaxy and with the Crew. I'm going to say total career goals 120.
Oh, that is exactly how many career goals.
No way. I promise. I want to take a screen cap of my screen. I do not have it open to look.
Well, you can't prove a negative. Take a screen cap of your not having Edson Buttles record.
I feel like I need to compensate for somehow because the fact that I got on the. I'm like that dude. Did you ever watch that documentary on the guy that got the Showcase Showdown exactly right? And like figured it out on Price is Right?
I don't think I'd watched that, but I think you mentioned that to me at one point.
It's an interesting one, but like it's like if you were gonna cheat, you'd be a couple dollars off.
Yeah. Do you want to spare some time for Vlatko Andonovski? What do you make of the guy? I mean, he's had this rapid rise to prominence as a coach in the women's game. It's pretty remarkable.
I had to Google him.
Okay, well that's fair. I mean, he started.
I mean, obviously, as a coach, once I knew he was the coach of the Reign. I mean, obviously, it made sense to me. Reign, I know, has a good program. Number of National League players come from there.
Yeah.
It's obviously Mega Rapinoe's boy. So what I found most interesting about it is that, and I'm not sure if this happens like often and we just don't hear about it as much, the fact that U.S. Soccer was very open about the fact that Kate Margraf consulted players on the decision.
Yeah, Kate Margraf was pretty open with the process and talked about bringing in a couple of different candidates and putting them through a rapid fire Q&A and asking them all these questions. And apparently Vlatko is, I saw Meg Linehan of The Athletic compare him to Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec because he comes in with binders on top of binders on top of binders. He had like a full analysis of the player pool as it currently exists, of potential players to bring in, of the culture of the team. Like the man is like detailed. Like he's on top of it.
How do you feel about waffles?
I don't know. I don't know if he's a big. I did see they did one of those like let's get to know Vlatko things with U.S. Soccer. His favorite candy bar, Jared. What would you guess for Vlatko Andonovski? He's Macedonian. I don't know if that factors into your guess here. What would you?
Let's see. I'm going to go with a Toblerone.
Okay, that feels a little European, a little sophisticated. No, that is not the answer. It's very American. This one.
The most American candy bar?
Well, it's not
the most American candy bar.
It's not the most American. What does that mean?
If I was going to pick, what the most American candy bar is. Oh man.
Okay,
I'm going to go with.
I think the key ingredient, like the bulk of this candy bar, the part that makes it what it is kind of divisive as a candy component.
Oh, Almond Joy?
No, that's a good shout. That's a good shout, but it's not Almond Joy.
What's the other thing that's divisive? Whoppers.
Well, okay. First of all, Whoppers are divisive because of you don't like malt. Are you a malt guy or not?
No, kids should throw them back at Halloween if someone puts that in their bag.
Do you prefer those over what's the other one? Milk Duds. What do you think of Milk Duds?
Milk balls.
Milk balls? Milk Duds. I'm using words here that are in the name of the other candy bar.
Gross.
Yeah.
Like all those old school weird candy. This is why the generation before us needs dentures.
So wait, hold on. You're very old school with your soccer team, but your soccer players, but you don't want to be old school with your candy bars?
I'm not old school. I'm age appropriate.
Do you know what nougat is?
No, I don't.
What is
it sounds disgusting and awesome at the same time.
So do you like candy bars that have nougat?
I enjoy a nougat.
Okay.
I like Snickers.
Okay,
but I don't like Milky Way or Three Musketeers.
Well,
Those are total. First of all, aren't they the same thing? What's different?
I don't know, but the first one you mentioned is Vlatko Andonovski's favorite candy.
Oh,
Milky Way.
Musketeers?
No, Milky Way. Yeah. Which is, again, the major component is nougat. So
that's so vanilla, too. I mean, it's just like
What would you prefer? Wait, hold on. What is he supposed to choose that's to be not vanilla?
Snickers bar? Add some peanuts to it.
Okay, peanuts. Peanuts gets you like a little spice, like some sexy on the...
some texture.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm going to think about this. I don't think I have a favorite candy. I don't think I really do. I guess...
Okay, but back to my point, though. Do you think that Ernie Stewart brought Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie into a room and said, hey, guys, I got 3 candidates here. What are you feeling?
No, not a chance. No.
And I don't know that it's wrong. I really don't. But it is interesting to me that that's how much power is in the women's game with the players. That
they do have power. Yeah,
stars.
Yeah, I also saw something that said it was Jonathan Tannenwald, and he wrote that Vlatko Andonovski will not be held to the same rigid tactical requirements or framework or whatever as Greg Berhalter. And I'm like, wait, so that means that U.S. Soccer is dictating to Greg Berhalter how his team plays? And is that really? I mean, Berhalter and Ernie Stewart came up with this plan.
Berhalter's fault then?
Well, apparently they got together, Stewart and Berhalter, and said, "Well, this is how we should play," and that's been the driving force behind all of it. But it's interesting to me that this is a very top-down thing for the men's team, whereas Vlatko gets to do whatever he wants. And look, obviously he's got a championship team. He's got more freedom because they're good, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But does he really have freedom? Because at the end of the day, are you going to be as sure that you can bench a star player if you feel that they have the ability to go around you?
Well, I mean, I first of all, I think part of the reason to hire Vlatko is because he's the kind of guy who won't care about that. I mean, he could lose his job, I guess.
Everyone plans for things to go right, but what happens when they go wrong? You know? So it's just a weird thing to me. And listen, I love these women players. I mean, I'm such a fan of them, but it almost feels kind of dangerous. And listen, me as a person that works in management, it would be weird to me if someone that I don't know. It's weird to me. I don't know how to say it other than the fact that who does he work for?
Okay, but there have been coaches in sports before who have only been there because, I mean, you just mentioned LeBron on the show.
LeBron, yeah, I know. That happened when they got Walton, right?
I mean, LeBron had a say because he's LeBron, just like Kobe had a say because he's Kobe, and Jordan had a say because he's Jordan.
It's a big statement on the difference in the men and women's programs and where they're at.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
As good as Christian Pulisic is, and the hat tricks he scores at Chelsea, he's not getting brought in to do that.
No, not yet. I mean, he may never. I think it's a different thing. I mean, I don't know if Lionel Messi has been accused of having that pull and doing that thing with Argentina, but I don't think he has that pull at Barcelona. I mean, they'll ask him. I guess they'll ask him, do you like this guy? Should we hire him? I suppose that's happening. Why wouldn't it? I guess that's, but there are very few players.
I've never seen that in American soccer before, where something like that would happen. Maybe, no, I take it back. 2007 with Beckham, I think that kind of happened with Ruud Gullit.
It happened with Ruud Gullit for sure. Now, that wasn't because Beckham had all this success and was a superstar of being made in L.A. He was just a superstar, period, and came in and threw his weight around at the Galaxy. And they had the whole captain's armband thing with Donovan and all that nonsense. Yeah. How about this guy?
No Wandos, stop.
Okay. I don't think he cares, and I don't think he has the desire to dictate terms at the San Jose Earthquakes. I just thought that was funny because he's the only guy I can think of in Major League Soccer who's been with his team long enough and is quote unquote a star enough that maybe you could see the owner going to him and saying, "Hey, what do you think about this coach?"
You know, it's interesting that you talk about San Jose. As I was doing my deep dive today in soccer nerddom, San Jose.
You swim in those waters. That's where you live. You live in soccer nerddom.
San Jose clash.
Your pool is filled with soccer nerddom in liquid form.
Let me swim in my pool real quick.
Okay, swim in the pool.
San Jose clash / Earthquakes are the only MLS original team that has never had a Rookie of the Year.
Okay, that's a weird stat to throw out. I don't think the Rookie of the Year matters anymore, but okay. I mean, back in the day.
A huge time, like if you go down the list of Rookie of Years, like especially in the first 20 years, these are players that were huge in the league.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And the fact that you never drafted one in all that time or never developed one in all that time, there's teams that have 3, 2. I mean, it's just interesting that they've had 23 years to bring someone in and just never been able to do that to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, whatever. Little San Jose hate.
Trivia for the day, guys.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple minutes left. I think that the chat is going on the Twitch. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching and participating in all of that. You mentioned Pops earlier. We should talk about Pops because I think
people don't know Jonathan Witherspoon.
John Witherspoon passed away at the age of 77. Just saw that today. I don't know if it happened yesterday, today. If you don't know,
last night. Yeah, I saw it when I was going to bed last night.
If you don't know who John Witherspoon is, this is who John Witherspoon is.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes.
That's John Witherspoon. Now, I think Friday is probably what he's most famous for, right? Like it's got to be.
I would say Friday's probably what he's most famous for, but I mean, you've seen him in everything. I mean, yeah. He was Wayans Brothers, Boomerang.
Well, Boomerang
dropped from earlier.
Do you put? Hold on. Here's Boomerang.
You got to coordinate.
That's John Witherspoon from Boomerang when he's showing off Eddie Murphy. He's showing off his mushroom belt,
mushroom shirt, mushroom lining,
mushroom shirt, mushroom lining on his jacket, and he says, "You got to coordinate. You got to coordinate." That's a low key. That I don't think a lot of people remember Boomerang except for John Witherspoon. That's how good
I don't
he
really remember
was.
much of anything other. I think Halle Berry was in it, and that was the first thing she was kind of announced herself in. Was she in that?
She was in. I think she was in it, but it wasn't. I don't think that was her first thing. I just think she was in it. Also, Eartha Kitt, I think, was in it. Was Eartha Kitt in it? But, yeah.
Jonathan Witherspoon for sure. The Friday movies, man. But I mean, he's just. Friday was just for your guys my age and your age. Friday was just that movie that in your 20s, how many times do you think you watched that between the age of 19 and 25?
I don't know, 30, 40 times.
Yeah, I might be higher than that. It's just one of the most quotable movies. And the thing about Pops, that character could have been a throwaway character in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But the way he owned that exchange with Ice Cube about the gun and using your fists.
Yeah.
That I don't want to overstate it, but that resonated.
He had
in that generation.
He had this weird thing where he was both authoritative as a father figure, especially in that movie and in Boomerang, but also obviously hilarious. That's a hard balance to pull off. He talks about use your fist, don't use a gun, and all of that, and you're nodding your head along yeah, Pops, I understand. And then also he's saying he's saying
don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes.
I mean,
every time I'm in the kitchen, you in the kitchen. Dog sprung up and bit me in the ass today, son.
Just a little ode to John Witherspoon here as we wrap up the show.
Definitely one of the most droppable guys, and it's a crime we never had a Jonathan Witherspoon drop on this show at any point leading up to this.
Well, now he's passed.
That will be rectified going forward.
It is our tribute to John Witherspoon. He's now got 2 drops on the board. We're always looking to add drops. Some of these we'll catch, some of them won't. You guys got suggestions, especially Patreon people. If you're in the Patreon Slack, you're free to bring up whatever you want. Ideas, throw them at us and let us know. Patreon.com/JD and the Rod. If you haven't signed up for the Patreon yet, we got some cool stuff. I think we're about 54% of the way, and I know that because 1,000 is easy with 540. We're 54% of the way to our goal so that we can do the Matador commentary track, which I'm definitely into. I'm ready to. I want to get to the moment when we get to do a commentary on us because we're in the show, a meta situation.
And also, shout out to Total Soccer Show who gave us a nice shout out on their Twitter page and on their show. We talked a little bit earlier about looking to do some partnerships and collaborating with some other folks in the scene. There's a few things like that we're working on, but obviously Total Soccer Show is one of the ones that we're happy that someone kept up the charge while we were gone, and we're happy to be back in the scene. And they're a great show that I hope can be seen as a compliment to ours.
Well, they do their thing, and it's different than the thing that we do. And I hope people can say, okay, well, I don't have to compare them. I can just take them for what they are and enjoy them because Taylor and Daryl are awesome.
I like what Daryl. I think it was Daryl. I can't remember if Daryl or Taylor put it, but they're louder than us.
Oh yeah, and Daryl was they disrespected Pozuelo's Panenka, which you labeled the Janenka, which again I think is a T-shirt, but I defended his Panenka. I thought it was a fine Panenka, as a matter of fact.
You were so wishy-washy. You know that was off-center.
It was off-center. That doesn't mean it's not a good Panenka. It doesn't have to be right.
It means it's more likely to be saved. Therefore, not the best Panenka ever.
No, not at all. Do we miss anything today? Is there anything that we didn't talk about that we should have?
I'm sure we did. But
we got another show before the Sounders host TFC for MLS Cup 2019. I'm going to be in Seattle, by the way, for that game.
I know the world's kept us geographically apart. They don't want us to collide. Someone tweeted at us. They asked, how many times have we actually ever been together?
Oh, yeah. Somebody did mention that.
I think it's 3.
I think it's 3. I came out for a game, crashed at your crib. That was the MLS Cup.
2 LA stints and a Columbus stint.
Yeah, and Columbus. Oh my God, Columbus. Guys, have we ever really laid out the entire absolute S show that was? I don't know. I'm not.
You know what? I know sometimes we should do full download on what Columbus is. Both the best and the worst weekend.
Yeah, there were some good things about it, but it was
the bar with
AO. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. Getting to meet a bunch of the fans in person, which we don't always get, So definitely a fun time there. But yeah, in what 8 years of you and I, maybe more than that. I don't know how long it's been, but only 3 times have we ever been in the same room. Yeah,
that's amazing, right? And how good is this thing with that? It's still the best. Again, so the Patreon stuff is out there, guys. The other thing that we need you to do is help us spread the word. A very small fraction of the old audience even knows we're back, just because that's how hard it is to spread the word, kind of by word of mouth or whatever. But that's what we need you guys to do. So if you want to help us out by posting somewhere, Twitter, let them know, retweet us, tell your friends, call, phone tree. Back in the youth soccer days, you had your phone tree. Get your phone tree.
Mail.
Do a chain. Wait, oh my God, I don't even remember how that worked anymore.
You had to forward on to a friend or you'd have bad luck. You had 30 friends.
You had to write, if you got the letter, you had to write to 30 other people. It was like the pyramid scheme of the mail
that breaks
service.
The chain.
That's right. Or bad luck would happen to you. Oh my God. All right, let's not have any bad luck. Let's get out of here. Thank you, Jared. Thank you to Nick Seuberling for holding us down on the calls. And anything else, Mr. Dubois? Anything for the people?
That's it. We'll be recording a bonus show for all of our Patreon members directly after this. Look for that on your Patreon feed. If you're not a Patreon member yet, as Jason said, get in touch with us at patreon.com/JD and the Raw.
And if you need help with your Patreon bonus stream, just let us know and we will set that up, get you hooked up. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Nobody going fast for about 35, 45 minutes.
No wandos, stop.
3 words for you. Treat, go.
Danger zone!
Damn, dog, that's in a box.
Duh and or hello.
Oh, it's incredible! It's incredible!
Jay Rodius.